Hey guys, today I'm going to be taking a look at this little Tiny Whoop by Lieber. It is called the Zulu, as you can see here. It comes in this really nice box. And it comes with everything you need as a ready-to-fly little Tiny Whoop. You see here it's got 15,300, 720, 15,300 kV brush motors. Has the F3 Evo brushed flight controller. And it says flight time around 5 minutes, which is about, I agree with. In fact, you can get a little bit longer sometimes. Here's some information, a 700 TVL lens on it, and 40 channel receiver on the goggles. I'll show you here in a minute. But here it is. Comes in this nice little light blue color. There's a little damage here to the props I did when flying, and I'll explain some of that here in a minute. Here's your FPV and your regular receiver antennas on top, and here's a USB on the bottom to connect the F3 flight controller to Betaflight, so you can configure it more. I did connect it to Betaflight, and it does connect to it, but it doesn't mess with any of the settings. There's quite a bit of wind today, so I hope this doesn't blow my stuff off the table. Now you can see this thing is pretty much the exact same size as the King Kong Tiny 7. Very similar, slightly different frame, but same size in every respect. I did not weigh them to compare them, but very, very similar. Tiny 7 though is a better acrobatic flyer. I'll get to that in a moment too. So it comes with its own controller, and it's a relatively nice controller. It's well built, doesn't feel cheap. Has a spot here to hook up a mount for an LCD screen. They include that, but the version I have here has FPV goggles, so I'll show you in a minute. Got your trim here. On the top here, this is your unlock and lock your motors, so you do have to start them up. The button down here on the bottom, this changes you between stabilized mode and acro mode. This button here will enter you into horizon mode. And what you do is you get a, if I turn it on, the power button is actually the Lieber. Here it has, you press set the power on. Red is your stabilized, press it again, the bottom left and it's green, that's full acro, and the top right puts a yellow light, and that's your horizon mode. Then you have to go back to it here, and that'll throw you back. It actually does throw you back into, that went to acro and back to fully stabilized. This is some sort of a bind button down here, and not sure what the other one does. And this one here, I don't know, it beeps. I don't think it does anything. I'm not sure what that button actually does. So go ahead and turn it off. It comes with a rather small battery, but like I said, the flight time's not bad. It's a 350 milliamp 1S LiPo. Comes with a USB charger. It takes around an hour to charge the battery up. But like I said, the flight time's not bad. I got over 6 minutes hovering in my basement, but outside, you know, if you're in any wind, you know, 5 minutes would be top. Yeah, I think for your flight, you know, 4 to 5 minutes. But you know, that's not bad at all for this little bitty battery. So that's certainly a plus, and extra props, which I really need to replace these two propellers that I bent in a crash. So that was just flying it outdoors and it hit the concrete. I'm really not sure how I bent them. I bent pretty bad, and I landed on the driveway. I didn't like get anything stuck in between there, so I don't really know how that happened. So the FPV goggles are actually pretty nice. It comes with, you know, a USB charging cable for it, a cleaning cloth, and it comes with like a RCA video output if you want to hook it to a monitor or TV. You got your on and off here, and you can see there's, hopefully that shows up some static. And it's a built-in rechargeable battery, so that's nice. You got your channels and your scan the channels. It only comes with these little, you know, these little flip, you know, what do they call these? I forget the name, like your routers have. These will be plenty fine for this Whoop, but it's not going to be good for long range flying. If you want to use them with another model, then I would upgrade these to like a patch antenna and a mushroom antenna. But for everything you get, it's not bad. The biggest problem I have is it just seems underpowered. When I put it in horizon mode and I want to roll or pitch flip, you know, and hold the sticks all the way to the side, I mean, I'm up 10 feet and it still hits the ground before it's able to recover. So I've not even tried acro, and I can't fly acro yet. It's something I'm going to try to learn this summer. But I don't see how it would be a very good acro flyer if it can't even do horizon mode good. Whereas I said the Tiny 7, this thing flips really nice in horizon mode if you look at my reviews. So I don't, you know, looking at the motors here, The motors do look beefier here on the Tiny 7, but I don't remember the specs for it. I just think this could have benefited from larger motors. And that may be why it has a longer flight time, because it has smaller motors. But you know, stabilized mode, flying it in a, you know, FPV around your house and that, this works perfectly fine. No issues at all. I just would not fly it in the other modes, you know. So overall, not a bad little drone, especially if you want, you know, an all-in-one kit and don't have to worry about, you know, binding up a hobby grade controller or something like I had to do with the Tiny 7 to my Tyrannus. Someone who just wants to get in a hobby and doesn't want to fiddle with all the profiles and binding and Betaflight and all that, you know, you don't need to use Betaflight with this, though you can configure it. So I think that covers everything. I said it all in one kit, and it's a pretty decent, like I said, good flyer. Just keep it in stabilized mode. If you want an acrobatic, you want to be able to do you know, flips and stuff, then I would look for a different model, because at least for me, this does not do a good job at all, as you'll see in the flight review when I do a flip with it. So let's move along now to that flight review. Alright guys, so I have the Lieber Zulu Whoop outside here. I'm going to take it for a test flight. It's a rather calm day, but there are occasional gusts, so we'll see how it does today and take it out here for a test flight. I've got it connected, you know, tuned in here on this little screen I have that has a DVR, so we can get some of the onboard footage for it. Now, I'm going to fly it mostly in stabilized. I might try Horizon, but it just does not do well. It just seems like it's underpowered. I don't know. It just doesn't. I can't get it to do flips very well at all. This has F3 flight controllers, so it's very possible that, you know, in Betaflight you could do some configuring. It might be able to help it out some, but I'm not very good at that. So, but I have tested, you know, it does bind up with, excuse me, it does connect to Betaflight. So let's go ahead. I'm going to start recording the on-screen footage there. Let's go ahead and take it up. I've got it in stabilized mode. See, it flies really, really nice and stabilized, but you expect it to. Let's see what a punch out here. It's not going to be much. See, it's okay. I mean, it's a tiny whoop, so you don't expect it to be too much, but see a funnel. Funnel's not bad. Dropping it out to just a tad, but not a lot, so that's good. Like I said, I can put it in Horizon mode. It also has full acro. I cannot imagine this thing flying in full acro very good, because even in Horizon it does not, it just needs so much room to flip. Let's try it in Horizon mode. Yeah, see, look at that. I was able to, I'm gonna go ahead and bring it down here and stop the motors and go ahead and switch it back to stabilized mode. That's another thing that's kind of goofy. This is you have to use this top right button to go to Horizon, and the bottom left does between stabilized and acro. So I just wanted to be careful there and make sure I didn't press the wrong button. Of course, I don't want to fly it in acro. So let's go ahead and unlock the motors and go ahead and take it up. Now I got, you know, a flight time somewhere around 6 minutes indoors, but I mean, I was flying mostly hovering because I don't have much room, so it's not going to fly that long outdoors here, especially in a, you know, in the fighting any wind. Now I did, in a test flight, kind of I bent a couple of these props. I didn't replace them, so it seems a little bit unstable. I think it wasn't like this a while ago. It's because I bent two props. And I didn't want to, you know, I said mess with it. It does come with a full set of spare props, so I'm thinking that's part of it. I think it's also the wind gust. It says a little bit of wind here at the moment. See, it kind of hits that little northerly breeze, and it stalls out. But overall, it's not doing too bad. And I said it's not a really windy day today. It's 5 to 10 mile per hour wind whenever it blows. So this, as you saw in the table review, this comes with, you know, a set of FPV goggles that have a rechargeable battery. So you don't need to set up, you know, add a battery to it or anything. And it, you know, it's fully ready to fly. So Only thing you have to add to it is some I think AAA batteries here for the controller. I think for what you get, it's not bad because some people don't want to mess with trying to bind up a hobby grade charger, hobby grade transmitter or controller. And some people, you know, they want everything, FPV goggles, everything, and this gives you everything for a pretty respectable price. I don't know, I think it was around 120 or 30, but I didn't try any discount codes. I'll include that if it drops the price anymore on it. I want to get it up on top of the roof. Like I said, it's not too bad outside, but obviously this Whoop is really designed for indoor flying specifically, on a very calm day. So if I take it in here into the garage, it's going to be, see, it's much more stable. Look at that. So I think mostly what we're dealing with out there was the wind. I don't think those propellers, I bent them back pretty straight, so I don't think that was really causing too much of a problem. Obviously, ideally, I would replace those two propellers. So I'm not exactly sure how it even happened because I ran into I did a flip and it hit the concrete, and that was it. Starting to lose some power here, so I'm going to go ahead and land it. Like I said, I had done a short test flight before this and didn't get the battery fully charged, so I would expect a little longer flight time than that. But that was starting to lose some punch, so I'll go ahead and stop recording here on my on the FPV screen, so we got that footage. So, you know, overall this isn't a bad drone if you're fine with just flying it in stabilized mode, which is mostly how most people will fly it by FPV. But Horizon mode, you know, as you saw, it just doesn't have enough power to do those full flips. I'm not sure why. There's those little white marks here where I had to bend the propellers back on it. So and I didn't even try acro. I am not an acro flyer. I want to learn that, but I'm not good enough yet to even attempt it. There's no way this thing's going to be able to do acro very good because it just doesn't have the power. Or the Tiny 7, which is very much like this, at least in Horizon mode. If you see my review, it's the same exact size as this, and it does really well. So, but it doesn't come with a controller like this. It doesn't come with the goggles, so you know you get a lot more with this than the Tiny 7. So that's wrap up the flight review, guys. So stay tuned for more videos and have a good day.
The power of the dark side.